Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely wild. We're going to uncover the hidden architecture of how we actually make sense of the world. We'll be looking at these incredible, almost unbelievable parallels between how our sleeping brains process history and information internally, and how modern creators construct compelling media to capture our attention externally. It's an amazing story about biology, history, and the literal mechanics of human attention. So let's get right into it.
Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start with the history of human rest, then move into the biology of the thought process, take a look at crafting scientific documentaries, break down the mechanics of bingeable media, and finally, synthesis, where we'll connect all these patterns together. Section 1. The history of human rest. Let's look back at the origins of sleep and how humans have organically processed information throughout history. The way we sleep today is actually a massive historical anomaly. If we look way back at the hunter-gatherer era, sleep was biologically hardwired to be biphasic. That means a longer block at night with a distinct afternoon nap, syncing up perfectly with a natural dip in our alertness. Then, fast forward to the 17th century, and historical texts reveal this fascinating pattern of first and second sleep at night. People would literally wake up for a few hours in the middle of the night, a period they called the watch, to pray, read, or just engage in some deep internal reflection. But then came the Industrial Revolution. Factories and electric lighting forced a massive shift to monophasic sleep, which is just one compressed, continuous block. We started treating sleep as this annoying inconvenience that we just had to rush through to get back to work. And today, well, we've pushed this so far that we are experiencing a modern sleep bankruptcy, completely divorcing ourselves from our own biological history. Now, some folks have literally tried to hack this historical biology. Take the renowned inventor Buckminster Fuller, for instance. He adopted this intense schedule of 30-minute naps every 6 hours, which totals a mere 2 hours of sleep a day. But here is the catch. He had to quit. Why? Well, his extreme schedule heavily conflicted with the rest of society. But more importantly, it conflicted with the fundamental ways our brains are actually wired to rest and process data. We just cannot overwrite millions of years of evolutionary history, no matter how hard we try. Moving to Section 2, the biology of the thought process. Let's take a look under the hood at the brain's sleep stages and the biological mechanisms happening when we actually do submit to rest. Our daily rest is basically governed by a delicate balancing act known as the two-process model. On one side, we have process S. Think of this as homeostatic sleep pressure. It builds up while you're awake, exactly like physical hunger. The longer you're awake, the hungrier you are for sleep. On the other side, we have process C, which is our circadian rhythm. This is our biological clock, oscillating like a wave over 24 hours, telling us exactly when to sleep by regulating hormones like melatonin. When these two processes perfectly align, boom, our brain gets the green light to begin its nightly maintenance. Once we're asleep, our brain turns into a masterful storyteller. We alternate back and forth between NRM, non-rapid eye movement sleep, and REM, rapid eye movement sleep. NRM is all about reflection. It's the brain gathering and storing all those fragile, raw facts from the day into a secure, long-term storage location. But REM sleep, that is where the magic of integration happens. It stitches all those raw facts together. It takes all the separate, random pieces of a jigsaw puzzle and interconnects them, building this ever-updating model of the world. It is literally the engine for our creative, associative thought processes. This quote from sleep expert Matthew Walker perfectly captures the profound nature of how we build understanding. He notes that sleep is the difference between knowledge and wisdom. REM sleep allows your brain to move beyond just holding on to individual facts and truly grasp what they all mean together. During REM, your brain acts as the ultimate post-production editing bay, deciding what matters, cutting out the noise, and weaving a cohesive narrative. Section 3. Crafting scientific documentaries. Now, let's see how this builds into our external thought process, specifically, how we consciously structure stories to capture human attention in the waking world. Making a scientific documentary actually mirrors our brain's sleep stages remarkably well. First, you have early planning, which is kind of like setting the intention for learning. You build a detailed outline and a hypothesis. Second, you have mid-shooting. This is where you go out into the field to gather raw materials. It's exactly like our waking life and NREM sleep, accumulating fragile new experiences. And finally, you have post-editing, where you meticulously organize all these wildly disparate materials around a central theme. That is the exact same synthesis our brain performs organically during REM sleep. And consider the sheer unpredictability of capturing that raw data. Look at this incredible shot of a dolphin surfing from the documentary Blue Planet 2. Despite meticulous early planning, the creators had to adapt mid-shoot. They battled fierce waves on jet sleds and eventually had to switch to inflatable boats just to capture this spontaneous, raw footage. In documentary filmmaking, just like in your daily life, you have to be ready to capture the unexpected as it happens. But as we learned with the brain, raw footage isn't quite enough to build meaning, right? Here we see the rare plant Artemisia altiplana from the documentary Qinghai, Our National Park. When the film crew took this footage into the post-editing bay, they didn't just dump the dry, scientific facts of the flower on the viewer. They added an emotional layer. They layered in this mysterious, lingering musical score while the taxonomist was searching the rocky beach. That music naturally arouses the audience's curiosity. It's an external editing trick that perfectly mimics how REM sleep attaches emotional weight to our memories to make them stick.
Section 4. The mechanics of bingeable media. Let's shift from grand nature documentaries to modern digital media and see how creators actively manipulate our focus.
To keep you binging instead of endlessly scrolling, modern creators rely on three main storytelling levers to continuously earn your attention: pacing, rehooks, and emotional subplots. Let me be clear, these aren't accidents. They are highly calculated external mechanisms designed to keep your brain engaged. Let's break them down. First up is pacing. This is how creators manage your energy so you never want to click away from an explainer. It happens on two distinct levels. The macro structure is the big picture, breaking a complex topic into digestible sections, exactly like the numbered agenda we used at the start of this very presentation. Then there are the microrhythms. That's switching back and forth within a section from an intellectual mode, like quoting a reputable source, to an emotional mode, like sharing a quick personal story. Good pacing totally prevents information dumping. Wait, did these techniques actually work? Boom. Did you feel that? That sudden shift in tone was a pattern interrupt. It's a literal rehook designed to snap your drifting attention right back to the screen by breaking our own rhythm. Rehooks can be questions directly addressing you, teases of what's coming next, or sudden visual shifts. They treat the presentation like a two-way conversation, periodically checking in to ensure you're still with me. The third and honestly most powerful technique is the emotional subplot. This is the secret thread that turns a standard piece of information into a bingeable season. While the main plot might be, say, how to improve your gut health, the emotional subplot is the underlying human journey. It is that recurring, silent question of, am I too late to change, or can I overcome this obstacle? Viewers don't binge purely for facts. They binge to resolve emotional questions. This is exactly how creators turn raw data into a narrative you genuinely care about. Section 5. Synthesis. Connecting the patterns. Let's pull all these threads together and see what happens when biology meets story. So just as our internal biology organically consolidates memories to make sense of the world, external media artificially uses structure to build meaning. Our sleeping brain uses REM sleep to connect disparate, raw facts into profound comprehension and wisdom. In the exact same way, modern storytelling takes raw visual data and uses pacing, rehooks, and emotional subplots to weave a memorable narrative. Both are just extraordinary editing bays. The history of human evolution perfected the internal one, while modern creators are constantly refining the external one. I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Knowing how seamlessly your brain naturally wants to organize information and how hard we work to replicate that exact process in the media we consume, isn't it time you stopped fighting history? Will you treat your next night of sleep as the ultimate editing bay for your mind, giving it the uninterrupted rest it desperately needs to run the show? Think about it. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep resting, and I'll see you next time.